What's up, guys and girls? I'm Benjamin Keating. This is my first video tutorial, so hopefully I don't mess it up too much. This is possibly the worst salt shaker modeling you'll ever see on the internet. But this tutorial is not about modeling, it's about dynamics and how we can speed them up. I'm sure if you've worked with Cinema 4D's dynamics engine and tried to sort of have lots of things moving at once, it can get very slow, very fast. And this is just a nice way to switch out from high res or high polys to low polys with the click of a switch. So let me show you what I mean. Let's just so you see my scenes. Got these salts in. Now the way I would fill this up is I would put an emitter at the top, or emitter even, put that at the top and just have it emitting the salt, and it would slowly fill up. If I just do that with a standard salt, which is somewhat of high resolution, you see things are getting pretty slow. Now if I had sort of a lot more of these, it would probably take quite a long time to calculate this particular simulation, and one simply just does not have time. So we've got to switch up here. If I click this, we switch to a low res here, we continue simulating and everything runs smooth. We move around and everything's great. I think this stops at 300 frames. Once it stops, stop the playback. There we go. So we'll just let them settle. Now this sort of low res that I've done here is not too great, but it certainly keeps the speed up. Now you see these gaps in here. We can just sort that out. Now the simulation's actually done. Just click play. Just let that rest for a couple of frames, and then stop. There we go. So that's our salt. And that was a lot quicker than having to actually simulate the whole thing with the high res. So I'm going to show you how to set up the subdivision controller here and this proxy switch to switch between high and low res. You don't have to use this for simulations. You might just have an object that's high res and you need to duplicate it many times without any dynamics, and this will also be handy for that. So in the description you've got a download link. If you download that, you'll be presented with these two files. You've got a start and an end. If you want to follow along, open up the start file, and we've got the basic scene here. First thing we're going to do is stick some controls on these subdividers, because there's quite a lot here. I'm not going to put a control for this glass collider, because this is just the same as the outer glass, just scaled in with a collision tag on, so the salts can collide against that and settle down. The subdivision count on this is just 1, and it's going to stay like that, so I'm never going to alter that in this particular situation, so there's no need to put a controller there. We just go ahead and select all of these, press Alt and G, which will group them into a null object. Let's just rename this to sub the controller. From there we can add our user data, so we can just select the sub D controller at the top here, come to user data, manage user data. Let's go to add data here. The data name we want to have top cap subs. You can name this whatever you want. It doesn't have to be specific. For the data type, it's going to be integer. Minimum is going to be 0. Max is going to be 5. I'm going to add max sliders as well. Now you can obviously put whatever number you want here. I'm not going to go above 5, so I'm going to keep this 5. And then control click duplicate this and call this one glass subs. Settings are going to stay the same. Control duplicate that. This one's going to be called bottom subs. That's it. Then we click OK. If we come over to the controller here, you can see we've got our user data and we've got our controls here. Now if we adjust them, nothing happens. We need to link these up in Xpresso, so if we come up to the sub D controller, right click Cinema 4D tags, and come down to the Xpresso tag, and that will put an Xpresso tag on there and give us this Xpresso editor. Let's just drag the controller in there. I'm going to click on the output port here, which is the red one. I'll come down to user data. Add the top subs. You don't have to add this in any particular order. And add the glass and the bottom subs. And from there, I'm going to bring in my subdividers, like so. these a little bigger. Okay. Now I had it so when you adjusted them, it adjusted the editor subdivision count as long as alongside with the renderer subdivision, so they stayed the same. I'm going to do the same here. Just right click the blue input port, come to object properties, subdivision editor, and then we want to do the same, and we want to have the render in there. So I'm going to repeat these for the other subdividers. Actually, get rid of that one. I put that in by mistake. And then I've done the same thing there. Just get rid of that. Editor. There we go. So that just keeps things organized. Now we just need to link these up. Let's drag connectors over here and just connect them up like so. So this is taking the information from the top cap from the information that we put here, and then it's going to in turn pass it through to the top cap subdivider. And that process will be repeated. So linking these up for me is always a tricky task. There we go. So now if we just close this, they're all linked up. You can see if we change these here, they change in real time in the viewport. It's kind of handy, so you can use this. You can use it for a number of different applications. You use it to alter text or anything really. It's worth exploring. Next thing we want to do is just come to the controls here and just right click, add HUD. You can control click and move this over into the corner. I like to customize these, so I'm going to right click, display, so it's show always. Basically what this will do, if we select something else, that disappears. I want that to be visible all the time, so I'm going to click always. Now if we select off that, that remains in the scene still. I'm also going to come down to these and go to display and show widget. I'll show you what that does in a second. I can click these little triangles. We can adjust our subdivision on the fly like so. Pretty straightforward stuff. Let's change our display mode to quick shading. All them lines there. Now let's create our salt, our low poly salt. This is going to be very, very easy. I'm just going to move this salt over, so I'm going to come into model mode, move this over. I'm going to select a sphere. I'm going to make this a child of the salt. I'm just going to reset its position to the salt's position here. And you can get this PSR tab. You can right click top, come to customize palette. On the search, just type in PSR. It comes up there, and you can just drag that at the top. And that's what I've done. Let's drag the sphere out. I'm going to call it salt low. Bring the radius down so match what we have here. Let's see where we at. There we go. Let's actually move this over. I'm going to bring the subdivision count down to 3. It's going to be very, very low. And that is going to represent, maybe a bit. I think 15 will be fine. That is going to be our proxy. You can see this is our high salt here. If we go to the object, we can see poly count is 1250, which is so our poly count is 1250. That's somewhat high, and it's going to increase when we start putting dynamics and sort of cloning these. And then we've got the salt low here with a poly count of just 8. So huge reduction. Okay, next thing we want to do, let's go ahead and add an instance. We'll set up this proxy system now. So I'm just going to rename that. Oops. There we go. And I'm going to actually group this. I'm going to call this salt emitter, because I'll be putting an emitter in there. And let's see. So we can drag the reference images, reference objects in there. so. And we can actually hide. We just group these two salts. Let's call them salt. We can actually go ahead and hide them. Like so, and the only thing that will be shown is what's in the reference path here. If we put low in there, low shows. Put high in there, high shows. Very good. But we want to create a switch, so we can just click and switch between the two straight away. And we're going to do that by coming over to the salt emitter here. Click on user data, manage user data, and go to add data. This is going to be called salt high. The data type is going to be a link, and then we're going to copy and we're going to duplicate that, so control and drag. This one's going to be salt low, and the same data type is going to be a link. And we need to add a switch, so let's add the new data there. We'll call this proxy switch. Okay, and this is going to be a boolean. That's going to be our switch. Let's click OK there. Now if we come to the top, we can see we've got the information that we just created there. We can actually go ahead and drag our low version in there and our high version, but nothing happens. We need to link this up in Xpresso, so if we come over to the top salt emitter here, symbol for the tags, Xpresso, and we'll just drag salt emitter in there. From there we'll click the red output port here, user data, proxy switch, proxy high, salt high even, and salt low. Doesn't matter again which order you have these in. I'm going to drag the instance in. Now there's 3 output ports here. We just go to the blue input port on the salt emitter, salt instance, sorry. So object properties, object reference. And we need to put a new node, Xpresso, logic, and condition. This is going to be our switch. We need to change the data type from real to link, and we just link it up. Like so. That's going to take the information from our controls here. It's going to pass it through the condition, and then it's going to output it to the instance, which in turn will output in the viewport. So we can come up to the top here and we can switch off and on. We can add this to the HUD by right clicking, add to HUD, and you can see it's come up there. If we control click and drag that, it's going to always be shown. Don't want the object name, I just want proxy switch. And from there we can just go ahead and add an emitter. So if I just select this salt emitter here, hold shift, go to simulate particles, and add an emitter there. Put this salt as a child of the emitter. Give it a dynamics tag. Right clicking, come over to simulation, rigid body, and we don't need to alter anything on this. We need to come to over to the emitter, show objects, and we actually need to change its position as well because it's pointing the wrong way. So in the pitch, we just change that to -90. Move this up. Now if we click play, we get some pretty cool stuff there. We can switch between our high res and low res at any point. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty much it. If we just set up this emitter a little bit better, for editor, we'll have to say 50, render is 50, and so I'll ask for 200 frames. Play. Let this go for 200 frames. There we go. It's finished. Now we can stop that, switch to our high res, click play, let them settle for a couple of frames. That's it. Again, you know, I've just used this in a dynamic situation. You know, you could use that if you wanted to put that in a cloner instead and clone, you know, thousands of them. You could just switch between the two with a flick of a button. So that pretty much wraps it up. I hope you learned something. I hope the video was okay. Like I said, it's my first video, so give it a like or a dislike if you didn't like it. Comments are welcome. If you have any problems, do let me know. Be sure to reply to you in the comments. I'll try my best to help you. For now, take it easy guys.